ride along. So it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess we call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Ridealonglive, I mean, yeah, it's a real deal.
Yeah. As you're coming, guys, go ahead and share up the thing, share up the program, and we are ready to go. Ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How are you guys doing? Welcome. Yeah. All right, guys, listen, it is Tuesday, a brand new year, 2022. And yes, we're ready again. As you're coming, guys, share up the program, and as you share, I want you to say, I share. I want to see you, I want to feel you, I want to see who's there. I want to see who's there, because today we're going to engage in another one of those conversations. It's going to get very sensitive. I have a feeling it's going to get very sensitive, because we're going to be chatting today with two of St. Vincent, probably most controversial vloggers on a very controversial topic that has been sweeping through the Caribbean. This is not only a Grenada issue or a Trinidad issue or a Jamaica issue. This issue that we're going to be speaking about today affects it affects everyone. And it seems like, right? It seems like in this pandemic, it have gotten worse. It seems like because more kids are home, I don't know, probably that's what it is. It seems like the stories of sexual abuse is another pandemic in it of itself. Yeah, serious stuff. So guys, as you're coming, go ahead and share everything. Wendy, I see you. Big up yourself, Wendy. Yeah, man. Share everything, and say, I share. Samantha Dixon, how you doing? Hey, Samantha, how you doing? Big up yourself. Good night to you. Lewinsky. Big up yourself, Lewinsky. Guys, also, if you're watching this program for the first time, what I want you to do is hit notification. Hit exclamation notify, and you will be notified whenever the program comes live. Yeah, just hit the exclamation and notify. We have Kenson King. We're going to be chatting with him a little bit. Just give us a little bit. We'll bring on Kenson and we'll talk to him. But it's going to be an interesting program, guys. So just share. Let me do it as well. Let me do it on my end as well. Hey, Christelle, how you doing? Big up yourself, Christelle. Nice. There's two more groups I'm sharing it on, guys. I want everybody to be in on this one. Thank you, Chantel. Big up yourself. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate you so much. Who else? Renisha. Thank you, Renisha. All right, guys. So let's go straight into it. We don't want to waste much time because this is going to be probably a overtime program. We're going to go into probably an hour and a half in this discussion. All right, let me summarize it, guys. Recently, I got a video. Someone sent me the video. I looked at the video for about 2 seconds and I realized that that's not something that I am going to even continue to look at, right? From what I've heard, and after that I got in the video numerous other times, basically what the video showed, right, is a particular individual. Hold on, I hear again a feedback. Let me fix my feedback, guys. Are you hearing? Oh, there we go. All right, that's the feedback coming in. So what it is this 35-year-old man from St. Vincent and the Grenadines engaging in sexual assault on this 4-year-old by allowing this 4-year-old child to, how could I say it politically correct? Fellatio, right? Well, let's leave it at that. No, so everyone in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is very upset right now because after this 35-year-old man allowed this child to perform oral sex on him for for such a long period of time. We just had a verdict on the case. The man went in, the man pled guilty, and you will be amazed as to what the charges are. Some of you may not be amazed because we saw much lesser sentence in other territories. But this is what people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are saying right now. Very, very upset. This is a clip of what media houses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are saying about this particular case right now. Let's take a quick look. If I could pull up audio. Stand by. All right, there we go. This is what people are saying.
And change it in 20 minutes. You could do it. You have done it before.
And it's almost one of those things that you know the opposition is not going to oppose you on.
They're not going to oppose you.
Everybody will say yes.
And that's right. You may well get unanimous.
Exactly.
This is crazy. But bigger than that now, tell me something. The mother of the child. Where's the mother of the child? It would be nice to hear. I don't know if she already spoke
Because
out.
the story said when it dropped last week that when they went to arrest him, they were met with some opposition by the mother.
Is it that he and the mother don't live together or what?
No, apparently they were due to be married.
No, when I said that, if they don't live together, I could see she might say, well, no, I don't believe because whatever. If they don't live together. But if you're living together in that house, you opposing that? That's your daughter, that's your 4-year-old, or how much, 4-year-old.
All right, guys. So again, as I said earlier, joining us to discuss the story is personality and vlogger there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let's say hi, first time on the ride. His name is Mr. Kenson King. Mr. King, how you doing, sir?
My brother, I am well. And yourself?
I'm good. Kenson, boy, let me tell you. First of all, I'd say welcome to the ride. It's your first time here. I've been following all your vlogs. I've been following all the stuff that you've been doing. I've been a silent viewer of everything that's happening. Before we go on to that, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Well, the name is Kenson King. Many say I'm a political activist. Many see me as a social activist. I just see myself as a Vincentian standing up for Vincentian. I'm a prison officer of 16 years, also a chef. But, you know, when it comes to my country, I stand tall for my country. So that is first and foremost who I am. I am someone who is standing up for my country, standing up for social justice. And as you said, a vlogger who speaks on stuff both locally, internationally, and regionally. You know, so, and then that's why I end up here on your program.
Right. Yeah. And also joining us is the beautiful and also controversial. She is as controversial as she is beautiful. Oh, probably more beautiful and controversial. Okay. Adriana King. Adriana, how you doing? First time. How you doing? Adriana, I'm not hearing you. Unmute yourself. Try. Adriana, we're not hearing you. Hit that unmute button.
Okay, there we go.
All right, there we go.
Yes,
there we go.
Today was a very exciting day. So I'm a bit tired, but I am very happy to be here this evening.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's start with this, right? Because this is crazy. Kenson, Adriana, let's start with you. Tell us about this particular incident and what's your knowledge on it?
Okay. Well, unlike you, I have not even glimpsed the video. No one has said to me, and I'm glad that they haven't.
Right.
I do know is that the video was recorded a teenager child, and it featured sexually violating his toddler. I think the child is about 4 years old, and it involves oral penetration, and fortunately, our laws are very lacking, so that in terms of convicting him, we are right now at I shouldn't say a dead end, because there are things that could still happen to him, but he has already been charged and sentenced for sexual assault. But many persons are asking for rape, but we don't know of any social examination that has been done on the child to determine that. So as it stands, it play sexual assault. So that's as much
Right.
as I know in relation to this matter.
Okay, and we will go deeper into it. Kenson, your reaction and what tell us a little bit more about the case from your perspective. You're on the ground.
Well, when I first heard about this issue, I said to someone, I said, this is not going to go very far. And interestingly, it is one of the fastest cases we've seen gone through the court system in a matter of
Right.
days, really. Um, well, from my standpoint of being in the system of law for some years, when I saw the charges that were brought, it wasn't really surprising because, as I told you, Junior, our laws are still archaic back in time, and the government that we have here, I don't think they are going to be amending them anytime soon. We'll get into that later. But when I saw the charges, it's not in any way surprising the time that he has to serve in prison. And as I was telling you earlier, he got 4 years, a sentence of 4 years, but that literally translates to 2 years and 8 months in the prison, right? Because you get that 1/3 time off automatically. Though on the books it states that you are supposed to get that time, remission time, only for good conduct and industry in the prison. But they have made it automatic over the years. And what is interesting is that we have a sexual offences team, I think, in the police force, and that team was put in place for things like this. And it's interesting that a lot of people are questioning, like, what kind of investigations were done to know what else this man may have done, and some are even questioning, how it is that he got these charges and not charges for child rape and this kind of stuff. But people need to understand that the laws that we are operating under, those are the laws and the charges that they could have given to him. So that's where we are presently.
So listen, here we have it, and this always puzzles me every time we have a show speaking about sexual assault on a child, on a minor. It always puzzles me, why is it that the sentencing guidelines is always so limited and always so light? I could speak about Grenada in particularly, right? We had a case in 2019 that basically the guy, it's almost the same thing. He performed oral sex on this 4-year-old child. The guy had what? I think he got $1,500 fine and a $600 payment to the family, and he walked free, right? But I'm beginning to see, when you canvass other territories and you look at St. Vincent, we have some of this lightest sentencing as well. Why is it like that? And specifically speak for St. Vincent. I don't know if Adrian, if you want to jump in here on this. Why is it you think that this charges, someone can steal a coconut, someone could I mean, hit a dog and get a more sentence, heavier sentence than sexually harassing a child?
Okay. Well, Junior, as Kenton stated, and as I said earlier, it is what is on the law books. Okay? For the offense of sexual assault, he could have got a maximum of 5 years, and that's that. Now, what went in Vincent and the Grenadines, and I guess as you've said in the wider Caribbean, we need reform. We need to change these laws, and we need to strengthen them and show that we really do care about our children. Now, why isn't this being done? Now, in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I'm very mindful here that I'm on your program and not mine, so I'll try to walk as much as possible, on else.
Let me say, I warned
But
him.
I'll
I
say this
warned him
much.
earlier, Adriana.
Yeah. No, I want you to express. I want you to express yourself. I mean, we don't want to. We don't want to sugarcoat the
Okay, so
situation.
let me say here that these are my views and not those of
Right.
Junior or anybody else on this program.
Okay.
That's that. Now, in my opinion, the reason why we are not having, any sort of movement in relation to reform is the fact that our government itself is corrupt. We have a prime minister, Ralph Gonsalves, who has been accused of sexual offenses himself. One of the very first public accusations came from a police officer. And what happened to that case? Nothing, you know? And so, in my humblest opinion, our government is afraid to touch these laws because they are afraid of ensnaring themselves. Simple as that. I mean, stronger laws to protect children when some of them are out here abusing women and they just stop themselves.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, I look at the charges in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I read your broadcaster from what we played earlier was saying it that you could get a higher prison sentence for weed right now
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
than in the case of child sexual abuse. And it's alarming. It's like almost saying that you don't care about the future generation. It's like almost saying, it's not like almost, is actually saying that. That's exactly what is being said. Like you don't care. Because this particular crime that we're speaking about here, ladies and gentlemen, it is so obvious, it's so blatant. The man pled guilty for it, right? Shouldn't there be stricter penalties for someone so the next would-be pedophile would see this and say, you know what, boy, I don't want to get caught up in that, boy. You see the penalty that I'm getting? You see the penalty that somebody like that getting? I don't want to go there.
If I may jump in here, Junior.
Definitely.
If I may jump in here. A couple things. One, and I like what Adriana did there, but before I get to what Adriana did there, I'll say this. 2018, I did some training in juvenile reform and juvenile justice and so forth, right? And this was brought about by USAID. And I'm trying to keep my emotions in check and because it's something that I'm really passionate about, so I'm trying not to go over the top. So the thing is that at that time, the then Minister of Gender Affairs and so forth, Mr. Stevenson, this man came with 3 pages. And I'm thinking that it was just that there were 3 pages of nothing. This man came with 3 pages of what he says is a bill called the Juvenile Justice Bill 2018. Now I'm going to tell you something here, Junior. The government got monies to deal with juvenile reform and juvenile justice since 2012. As a matter of fact, for the entirety of CARICOM and the OECS, St. Vincent got the most money. Yeah? St. Vincent got millions. St. Vincent got the most because St. Vincent was the first to get. Right? Dominica, who was the last to receive maybe about 500,000, if so much, were able to put in place juvenile justice reform and laws that St. Vincent couldn't even think about starting to peak on. You see what I'm saying? And up until 2018, when USAID decided to come to see what they have done. Now, around the same 2018, 2016 to 2018, between there, St. Vincent got monies again to deal with laws for child rape and such. And we are yet to see any act passed in the House of Parliament to create laws for these things. Now, I hope that now this that this begins to help you to end. Why these small charges have got to be placed on people, because they are nothing specific to what is happening when it comes to children. It's not like if they're not getting the help, the aid is there for them to put them in place. But as Adriana said, when you have persons like Ralph Gonsalves was actually admitted to sexual assault on the police officer. He admitted to it. He admitted to it because he placed himself on the scene at the time that the lady said she got raped. Because he himself said that he left his bed to go and give her a reassuring kiss. And what came out of that? Nothing. As a matter of fact, when people like me and Adrian and others say that have a rape culture in St. Vincent, Caribbean, and CARICOM, there are persons who want to take your head off because they do not want to admit to these things because they don't even understand what a rape culture is. And so when you can have persons on the ULP radio station run by the same Prime Minister and all of them, literally tearing to shreds and opening up even the health records of persons who came forward and say, Ralph Gonsalves raped me. Do you really expect Junior to see laws strengthened in St. Vincent to deal with stuff like this? I told you this was going to get hot on you tonight, you know.
Yeah.
I told you this. Because these are things that I am really, really concerned about. And these laws, they are not being amended, as Adriana said.
Let's look at the line. Go ahead, Adriana. You're saying?
I just wanted to add something here in relation to the laws. One of our former senators, Charlene Banwell, I think it was Zita, this morning, and she said that in 2015 we actually made a draft Sexual Offences Act, a draft. Now it's 22, and that is still in draft form. Still in draft form. Now, other than the Juvenile Act, there's also the Child Care Adoption Act. And in Junior, in the Act, there is nothing in relation to those who sexually assault minors. All there is a no such children should be protected. That's it. But nothing in terms of the prosecution of those who harm them. So we go straight back to the criminal code and what that says in terms of prosecution.
Yes. And here is the breakdown, and I'm trying to understand this, right? We can't necessarily blame the magistrate for that decision. I've seen emotion flaring about why the magistrate could have done more, why she had sentenced him for life, and that is out of the magistrate's hand. It is probably, I don't know if it's in the DPP's hand to make that verdict. So it comes down to
they all have to operate within the realm of the law.
Right, but how much weight? Who dropped the ball? In other words, where do we have to pin that tail on that donkey? Where exactly are we sitting in square and Parliament?
Yeah,
in
the
Parliament,
legislative arm. That's it.
That's where you pin that tail.
That's it.
Because my brother,
unless the sentence come together.
What about police? What about the police that write that charges? Sexual assault. What about rape? Rape wasn't on the
more than what the law permits, Junior.
But that's the thing, Junior. There's nothing there for the police to use. That's what I'm telling you. So that's why it comes down to the legislative arm of the government to put these things in place. Because, as I told you before, the magistrate can only work with the tools that he has. And this magistrate, trust me, my brother, this magistrate is somebody who will use what she has. You see what I'm saying? So it's a matter of hands being tied. Let me say something to you before we go on. During that same time of training that I told you about, it came out that we were discussing, even domestic abuse and so forth, and what powers the state has, right? And then it struck me, like really struck me, because then I realized and found out that the state really doesn't have much power to deal with certain things because of the way the laws are written. Now, let me give you an example. If there's a domestic abuse case that is brought forward, it just simply take the virtual complainant to say, I'm not going forward anymore. And that's that.
Right.
Or in the case of even a minor being sexually abused and so forth, it just takes the mother or the father to say, you know what, let us settle it out of court. And that's that. And that is part of the problem that I have, because I think as long as these things come up, the state should have the power to prosecute, but it doesn't.
Right.
So now you have this bump. You have this bump where it's, as Adriana said, it's either the people come out and force the legislature to do their job, or the legislature see it as, this is important and we do it. And we know they're not going to see it as important. And this is part of why too. Now, before I go to that part of why too, let me continue what I was saying. I was told by that by someone who was there in the training from the family court that is why they had to start charging for the processes, the processing of the charges and going to court and all of that, because numerous times they would have already processed everything, gone through the rigors of getting things done, and then when time to go to court, the virtual complainant will come and say, you know what, I don't want anything anymore. So that was a waste of time on the part of these people. Now, the state cannot take up and prosecute even though there is a case to prosecute. It just has to end right there.
And that is you see that practice, that is not only in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's in Grenada as well, but it's not the same here in the US.
It's across CARICOM.
It's across CARICOM, and that is one of the major problems, because even in sexual abuse, in the case where where husband and wife or abuse of women, a lot of women decide that, you know what, I ain't gonna go through it, because if the man lock up and he's the breadwinner of the family, then who's gonna pay the bills? So she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Even in these cases as well, parents have to choose between the bread and butter and keep leaving their child to be sexually assaulted. And sometimes they say, well, look at the situation. We're living in the man's house. If he throw me out, where I'll go and stay? And that is that is the number one thing I think that needs to change. It needs to change. It needs to change. That'll go so in America and in other places.
Jonah, you hit the nail on the head. A situation like that happened here just was last week or week before, Adriana, where the lady who was being abused, Magistrate Ricky Bonnet was put really between a rock and a hard place, that he could not incarcerate the young man, because it was not his first time being brought before the court for abuse. But it so happened that he is the only breadwinner, and the lady has nowhere to go. And then you basically had one women's shelter here in St. Vincent, right, Adriana, in Mespo? And
No, it's not in Mespo.
That by itself is another story. Or the one in Paul's Avenue, it's Paul's Avenue. That by itself is another story. So Junior, when you have the Prime Minister's son, Camilo Gonsalves, his name being brought into an issue with Yugi Farrell, where it was another matter of sexual abuse by power. But his father, the Prime Minister, told him, and he was so brave and blatant with it, my brother, that the Prime Minister came out and he said, I told Camilo to hold a dignified silence. So he's not to answer to the public. He's not to answer to the electorate. He's not to answer to the police. He's not to answer to the judiciary. You see what I'm saying? He told him to keep a dignified silence.
So when you're a gun
so you see why we can't get change. That's why we can't have change.
Let me give you a little programming note right here, guys. We're talking about this incident that happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines just the other day, where I'll show his face, not for any popularity reasons, but this is the guy. He is I call him the nasty man. That's his name for today. The nasty man. Nasty first name, man is the last name. He is the person that allowed this child to perform oral sex on him, right? And it went on for a period of time. Now, he pled guilty. He's going to be serving 5
I'd rather
years.
you
And
use the word coerce, Junior, rather than allow.
yeah, yeah. He is supposed to be serving 5 years, but as Kenson said, he's going to serve like about 2 years.
No, it's 4 years. It's 4 years he's supposed to be serving,
4
but he'll
years,
be serving 2 years, 8 months.
But in terms of
2 years.
calendar time,
Right, right.
In terms of
So
calendar time, he'll be serving 2 years, 8 months.
in essence, what this is saying is, you guys could go ahead and damage a child forever, because that child will be forever damaged. That child is not gonna, I mean, I don't see no recovery there for that child. That child need a lot of intensive care. That child need medical assist. That child for the rest of that child's life. And he's gonna come out in 2 years and probably go and do it again, because you know what I mean, it was a walk in the park. He went and spent time in a hotel, as they say. Well, in Grenada, they call it the hotel on the hill. But he basically got a slap on the wrist, 2 years in prison for damaging a child. Now, does that deter the next would-be pedophile?
No.
The answer is no. I don't think so. No. Uh-huh.
let me
Go
say
ahead.
this. This incident has come, it is gaining media attention all over the world. But if you speak to the counselors who work at Cato Memorial Hospital here in Kingston, St. Vincent, they will tell you that at least twice a week, a child comes to the hospital having been sexually molested. Those are the incidents. Well, many of them we don't hear about. We don't. We only hear about one or two that get leaked out. Now, for instance, a year or so ago, well, maybe 2 years or more, we heard about a girl being raped by a group of boys in a school bathroom. We heard about another child being raped by their grandfather. We heard about a baby being raped. We hear an 8-year-old, an 11-year-old who gave birth, 12-year-old who gave birth. These things are happening so often in St. Vincent and Grenadine that at a point when people come on social media and questioning certain things, I just look at them, because it's happening almost every single day here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And yet, Vincentians are the fact that we have a rape culture. Oh, you mean we have people out here just raping one another? And as heinous as that sounds, it is what it is, because there's no limit in terms of, they won't touch babies or they won't touch old people. We had an old woman who was raping her babies who are being raped in St. Vincent. But one of the interesting things, or what is happening thing, would be that our law finds rape, because many persons who live, overseas in the big cities, they look at this incident and they ask, why wasn't he charged with rape right now? He could only be charged with rape if there's a further investigation and it is proven that he penetrated her vagina or her anus. That's how he's going to be charged with rape. As it is now, oral penetration, no. He has to, you have to prove that there was some sort of vaginal or anal penetration. But oral, not rape. Simply assault. And so it goes back to the same thing that we're saying. Our laws have to be reformed. I saw somebody raising like that the DPP did not charge for child pornography. And interesting enough, if we were to bring child pornography into this, then is when you would eventually start seeing, some serious charges. Our Cybercrime Act is far more effective than our child care and adoption, far more effective than anything here in relation to children and rape.
Yeah. Let me bring in some of our viewers in this conversation, guys. We're talking about this issue right here. I know we have a lot of people that's watching from Jamaica on Unstoppable TV over there. This is not an isolated incident that only happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is not an isolated incident that only happened in Trinidad and Jamaica. It seems as if it's widespread. But why is it that the laws are not catching up with what is happening here? Because it seems like this pandemic of sexual abuse continue to ravish, and there's no lockdown, there is no vaccine, there is nothing. Instead, it looks as what's happening is that you're basically leading on these perpetrators to do more of these crimes by giving them a slap on the wrist. So I want to engage you guys on this here. Whatever territory you're in, tell us what's happening and what do you think of this particular case right here. The number that you could call on WhatsApp, you could call directly on the phone line. The number is 718-701-5720. Let us talk about this because I am fed up coming here sometime once a month, and we have this sometime every week, some child sexual abuse. I have to tell my producer we have to spread it out a bit because this is crazy. We're going to deal with some on air, we're going to deal with some off air. It's just too much, and it seems like the kids being at home makes it even worse because we always
Can I
see
say,
something.
Junior?
Yeah, go ahead.
Other than the legislative and the laws in this, sadly, something that we have to admit to ourselves is that this also is the fault of us, the persons in the communities. Let me explain. Over the years, let's say for the past 20 years, 20 to 25 years, we have seen a decline in proper socialism in our communities. The type of socialism we knew, Junior, growing up, Adriana, in our childhood days growing up, where a community took care of a child. The community took care of the children. That is why it was said it takes a community to raise a child.
Right.
So now it's like persons have waxed cold where if it's not mine, it's not my business. You know? And it is not my business to protect. And that I think is one of the most fundamental things that we are overlooking. We need to get back to that place of community, that sense of responsibility for each other. That sense where if I see a child on the road, I must be able to ask, what is the issue? Where are your parents? Why are you on the road at this time of the day or at this time of the night? Why are you not at home? You know, where are you going? Who is coming to meet you? Who is coming to pick you up? You know, and then I'll be able to take the child home and say, well, I brought the child home. And when
Right.
and too much we have been seeing, Junior, especially in CARICOM. I think you can look at it in St. Vincent, in Grenada, in Jamaica, and so forth, where now, if you as an adult try to even discipline a child, also the parents will literally want to kill you. Because and I think one of the greatest
That's if the child and kill you first.
well that too. And that comes from one, the type of socialization that is going on now, and two, for the mere fact that children are having children. And I always say that if the teenagers who are having children now never were given something, they were instilled with something inside here, then they don't have anything to impart. And so because
Right.
nothing was imparted to the next generation, they're empty. And so what we grew up with is not instilled in them. So we are at a place where we have to start to look generationally instead of just now, where we have to start to try to instill these things in the next generation and not just look at it as now, because then none of this is going to stop really.
Yeah, and I mean the times have changed so drastically, and to your point there, we now have. I remember having my grandmother in her 80s, going down the road. Now we have grandmothers in 40s. You know what I mean? Children having children, children having children, and they following the pattern. You know, so if you have a grandmother in your 40s and your grandmother is on social media and you know flaunting herself, and your grandfather doing the same thing as well, we have a society like that's what the children seeing, and then it's just a total breakdown in society as how we knew that, how we grew up. But here is a question that somebody just messaged me, and I don't know if you guys have the answer to this. Where is that child parent? Where is that child's father, and where is that child's mother? Do
Actually,
anybody
the
know?
guy not supposed to be the child's father, Adriana.
Which child are we
I think
talking about?
The
the
child
one
in
in
question,
St. Vincent, yeah?
is that his stepfather? Or is that his
It's
biological
the
father?
father who perpetrated the act.
It's a father, yeah, it's a father.
I thought that was the child's father.
Yes, that
That's the
was the
child's
father.
father, and the child's father and the child's mom were engaged to be married this year.
I was
And
told
His
that it
child.
was his stepfather. I thought it was his
And as
stepfather.
a matter of fact,
No, it's his
if you
biological
go back to
child.
the clip that you played earlier, I think you
Yeah.
will hear where Chris and the others were saying, you know, like the mother was kind of angry that this thing was brought out.
Wow.
So you see, my brother, look, I'm trying my best not to get overly because as Adriana said, this is your program, so I'm trying not to get overly thing here and here as I would on the rant, because trust me, this is something that is heartrending and something that we're not. Remember, I said earlier, you have cases where as Adriana mentioned, you had a 10 or 11-year-old having a child in the hospital, and what I know is that the mother or whoever is supposed to be taken into custody until they can say who the perpetrator is. And one mother was recorded as saying the father, who is in his 30s, would take care of the child.
Henson,
You see the
Wow.
I
kind
am
of
a teacher,
nonsense?
and by law, I am obligated any incident of child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And we have head teachers here, and Junior, I'm talking about a fact matter here, where even a head teacher was trying to incident in which a child was raped. As in,
Mm-hmm.
somebody actually walked in and met this man raping this child, and even the head teacher at the school trying to cover up the matter, and the police commission, I could say, bold knows of that, but teacher was never charged.
Someone is
And in
saying that the
relation to
mother.
incest, because
Go ahead. Go ahead, Adriana.
I was about to say that some of your viewers might ask, well, why didn't we charge a guy for incest? Now, the thing is, he could be charged for incest. Like I said before, if investigations are ongoing and they could prove that he had sexual intercourse with the child, again, vaginal or anal, then he could be charged for incest. But just the act that was performed does not fall under the category of incest based on our laws. That's how messed up we are.
No, you see, that is where people would get frustrated. Because I, as a father, you did that to my child, you raped my child.
Yes.
I don't care, because
Deal
it
with you as
doesn't
though that's
matter.
the case.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to promote vigilante justice. This is not me telling people to but listen, man, come
But it
on.
seems like the only thing that will work, me brother. It seems like the only thing that will work. Let me give you an example. About 10 years ago, or something like that, there was this guy who was imprisoned, who was sent to prison for actually kidnapping a little boy and raping him. All right. Actually had the little boy in a what we call in sevens a crocus bag, if you know the term.
Yeah.
Right? I think the Caribbean people will know the term, right? actually kidnapped the guy, the little boy, and so forth. And he served what? I don't think he didn't even do 10 years in jail. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
No,
So
here's an interesting twist. Here's an interesting twist to some of these things, right? Earlier, I was telling you guys about the incident involving this 35-year-old or so man who is an American citizen who lived here, went down to Grenada, and he sexually abused this child. The court system, the justice system, failed the child. But what happened was this man came back to the U.S., the law here in the U.S. grabbed him and prosecuted him. Now, if that happened where a U.S. citizen traveled in any part of the world and do that to a child, when he come back here, he could be prosecuted under U.S. law, U.S. statute. But in this case, this man is in St. Vincent. He's from St. Vincent, and it is upsetting that might be the be all and end all of this particular case. Let's jump to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Good night, Junior. Doug Howard, calling you from Brooklyn.
Doug Howard, how you doing, my brother?
I good. Good night, Kenson, and good night, Adriana.
Good night, Doug. Good night, Doug.
Good night, Doug.
One of the situations in these sexual predators case, because they are sexual predators who is predating on our young children, right?
Yes.
You had a man, I think it's sometime last year, who did the very same thing to his granddaughter. Kenson, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that family comes from your constituency. Not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, from right up here, South Rivers, actually.
Junior, listen to me. The child, the mother of the child was out there adamant to get the grandfather arrested for sexually assaulting her kid. And you have politicians who came to that man's defense in St. Vincent. And everybody know that the child was molested because the doctors prove it to be a fact. And up to this day, the 4th of January 2022, nothing has come of the case. So it's not something that just happening isolated or no one again. It continues to happen in St. Vincent, Grenadines, and a lot of these countries. And the laws in St. Vincent, listen to me, Junior. The government of St. Vincent went to Parliament and passed laws at 3:32 a.m. in the morning. They went and passed laws into act at 1:59 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
They went and opened and passed laws on a Sunday. But they can't pass laws to protect our children in St. Vincent and Grenadines. This is a fact.
Yeah.
This is a fact.
Yeah.
And they cannot pass laws to protect the most vulnerable citizens of our country, our children.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you don't take vigilante justice in your hand, you will never get no justice in these cases. It's the only other way out.
Right.
Sorry to say, but show me the alternative and I'll go towards it. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Doug Howard. And this is the part that really gets stuck in your craw, right? We know that laws are not difficult to change. I mean, I remember that even wearing a mask, right before COVID, if you were caught wearing a mask in town, you could be arrested and charged for masquerading. Bam! They changed that law quick. That was the end of that. Now you have to wear a mask. You even wearing mask in a bank. Could you imagine a man with a mask in a bank asking for money? That's a bank robber, but now it's perfectly legal. So it shows how easy laws are to change. It's not hard. So why is it so difficult for the Caribbean to catch up and understand the vulnerable, as Doug said, the commodities of the future are being taken advantage of, and it's like they don't care. It's
Let me tell you why
mind-boggling.
I think it is.
Listen. Huh?
Let me tell you why I think it is. The people.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Before you go
Simple.
to your thought, hold on one second. Let me just jump to the phone and that caller calling from a long distance line, and we'll come back to your thought. Caller, go right ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, this is Nyla John, president of Lovin SVG and Rise Haruna.
Hey, Nyla,
And,
how are you? Thank you
know,
for calling.
I'm good. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to Adriana and Kenson.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Nyla.
Speak on the issue.
Yes.
Hey guys. You know, our advocacy work must be daily, and so I'm really thankful to you, Junior, for always, you know, being so involved in the affairs of St. Vincent and the issues that the nation is facing. I know that you guys were talking about the issue of the 4-year-old child who was molested and sexually assaulted by an adult male, and it was videotaped and so forth. For many years, since 2016, Lovin SVG has been calling on the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to implement a sex offenders registry that would have a program to complement it. And, you know, we've gotten nowhere with it. We wrote letters to CARICOM, you know, asking all the CARICOM nations to implement the sex offenders registry. The only country that we've had success so far is Trinidad. You know, there's the argument of, you know, that it's going to cost money. Well, it costs money to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the wee hours, we have, you know, amendments to legislation or the implementation of legislation within the House of Parliament of the last 20 years. But none of it protect the women and girls of that nation. And it is time that we stop with the talking and start to take action. St. Vincent is in dire need of a sex offenders registry. It is a deterrent. It works in many countries. You have that. If you reoffend, we double your sentence. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. We give you rehabilitation. You get imprisoned. You then put your on a sex offenders registry. It should be to the public so that people know. If today I decide to Google here in my neighborhood, I can see all the sex offenders that live in my neighborhood.
Yes.
Or live in Washington or New York or wherever I put in the address.
Yes.
And so we should have access to that. You know, and the thing is that, you know, we get outraged and then we stop. No, we need to be continuously outraged on these issues. And we really, really need to say enough is enough.
Yes.
You give a man 4 years for doing such an act to a child who is 4 years old, voiceless. The legislation can be revised.
Yes.
There's nothing stopping the government to revise it. And I'm wanting to hear the opposition on this matter. We want to hear them in the House of Parliament because it's also their business. Every single politician in that country that sits in the House of Parliament is paid.
Yes.
And so we want to hear what is going to happen. We want people to rise up. There's too many things going on in the country that should never be happening. We have ministers of government. We have a prime minister that has been accused on several occasions of rape, sexual assault, and molestation.
Yeah.
And I have the facts to prove it.
Yeah. And Isla, the funny thing about it is,
the
funny thing about it is, this is a pandemic. This is a pandemic. This is not an epidemic. This is a pandemic.
That's correct.
But we don't see proactivity as the other pandemic. I mean, it's like they don't understand.
Right.
It's like the leaders don't understand that these children are going to be the politicians, the doctors, the lawyers, the whatsoever, the teachers, everybody. They're the ones who's going to be paying for the millions and millions and billions of dollars that we're taking out from the banks on China and all these places right now. They're the one who have to strategize the thing and make sure that everything take care. When we're sick, they're going to be the one taking care of us. Why are we not concerned that we are damaging them? It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot, and they don't care. I would think that that would be the biggest thing to
No,
do.
they don't care. You know, the children of the nation are, as you said, the future of a nation.
Of course.
And if we're destroying the future of the nation, then we're going to have a completely destructive nation. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go. But let me say these last words. When you have a country plagued of social issues, poverty, teenage pregnancy, rape, molestation, that country can never grow. The government is unwilling to address the social ills of the nation, and it will never be able to grow economically.
Yes.
Junior
Point
and
taken.
Adrian and Kenson, thank you for this program tonight, and thanks for everything that you guys do. Our advocacy work is needed in this world.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. You
Rise
guys
Haruna doing such a great job always.
All the best, Nalo.
Yeah, and there was a statement that I was watching that said that you could tell a lot about a country and how structured and planned country is based on how they treat their women and children. You could
And
tell
the
a lot,
elderly.
Correct.
and the elderly. You could tell a lot about what's on the how well a country is structured by looking at those things. And what could you tell? Kenson, looking at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you're on the ground, looking at those facts. How does it look in how does it look for St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Right now, Junior, it doesn't look well. And let me tell you why. But before I get to that, let me just say on something that Nyla was saying there,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kenson.
where she spoke about laws being so easily changed. You said it too. I am certain that if it's one time you will have overall consensus in the House, it's in enacting laws and acts that will protect women and children in St. Vincent. Now, on the question that you just asked, Nyla again has answered you technically. Let me say why I said that. Presently, we have a government that, we have a country that is at a place of despondency. And I say that because economically, people are crying. When you can have over 50% and over 50% unemployment rate overall, you have over 50% youth unemployment. You have a poverty assessment report that was done by the government that they are ashamed and afraid to put out, Junior. And so all of that, and all of us who did sociology and some form of psychology, we know that when persons become poor, they become either lawless, they become despondent, or they become lawless and despondent. And so morality is gone out the door. You have with morality and so forth out the door. What are we left with? And so that is St. Vincent presently. That is where we are. Where persons believe that certain things are their lot. And that is why me and Adrian, we keep on telling people, you are a first-class citizen of St. Vincent. And so you deserve protection, you deserve economic growth, you deserve to live.
Yes. Hold on one second, Adriana. Let me jump to the phone line real quick. Caller, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Grenada.
Grenada, go right ahead. Do me a favor, Grenada. Turn your background down a little bit so we don't get that feedback from the television.
I'll just turn it off, okay.
Right, no problem. Go ahead, Grenada. We're listening.
Hi there. Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for your contributions. I've been listening very keenly.
Yes.
I want to say that I agree with everything that's been said wholeheartedly, but I'd like to offer an additional point of view, not an opposing point of view, but an additional one, because this is a very complex issue.
Right.
And we would not do it service, we would not do it justice if we didn't acknowledge the complexity of it. So, for example, I'm a psychotherapist and I work with victims of all ages, unfortunately with increasingly younger ones, as you've all identified.
Right.
And the Public Sex Offenders Registry has not been proven to be viable in small communities. And this is because, well, this is what the literature says, and in the context of Grenada and the cases that I'm familiar with, victims will tell you that their dad, say, let's just say the dad, it could be any older relative, but 97% of the time it is a close relative, a close adult male relative in the home.
Right.
And these are not necessarily perpetrators who look mean and aggressive and ill and sick and all the things that you might think. But no, there is no profile of a sex offender. This might be the neighbor that you know and love.
Right.
This might be your teacher, your pastor, your best friend, your big brother, whatever the case may be. And victims will say, please don't shame my entire family
Yeah.
for the wrongdoings of the one man. So the one man is abusive. He is monstrous to us. Take him away, punish him, get him help, but don't publicize it so that my mother can't hold her head up anymore.
Right.
And my granny is embarrassed, and I will be bullied in school for the rest of my life.
Right.
Because small communities are unforgiving. So I just wanted to say, when we talk about victim protection, so far on the program we have really spoken about punishing offenders.
Right.
We have not really spoken about protecting children. And I just wanted to offer that you may be surprised to know the amount of victims who say, look, can we do this quietly? I need this to stop.
Right.
Because as you all have said, the repercussions on society are far more grave than we have discussed. Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, manic depressive, all kinds of the very worst psychiatric diseases are now understood to come from adverse childhood experiences. So the cost to the mental health system, the cost on society, and the breakdown of families, it's just it's a more greater scale than we have discussed here tonight. Yet you will hear victims say, you victimize us again when you make it public.
Right.
So that's just the point I wanted to make there.
So, caller, let me ask you a quick question.
For additional contemplation.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I really appreciate your point of view. Is it that some of the reason why governments and officials try to speed this to court and not send it to magistrate or send it as a
No. That's too generous. I frankly don't think the governments are thinking it through this deeply at all.
Okay.
I don't think
Agreed.
No.
I got you. I appreciate you. Thank you
I
so
think
much.
they're distracted by other economic issues and so on.
I got you. Thank you so much, caller. We really, really appreciate you. And I would love to have you on the program where we could discuss and dive deeper into conversations like these. I think you brought some good insights. Thank you so much. I'll keep your number.
Pleasure.
All right, thank you. Kenson and Adriana, what's your thoughts?
Go ahead, Adriana.
Well, I'm glad that Paula brought up the idea of protecting the child, because here in St. Vincent, there's a very strong happening right now in relation to, the video, to not share the video. Why was the matter in the family court? Why was it not sent beyond? Now, from what I do know, according to law, the family court is the one who, well, not the one, the body that would hear these matters. They could hear them in the entirety, or they could start and decide, well, you know what, maybe they should go on to the High Court. I think one of the reasons this matter remained in the family court was the child, to protect their identity. And that's the reason why I'm upset with people sharing the video, because it only needs to be shared with the police and with those who are prosecuting the man. I really don't see the need to share it with your friends and cousin in America who didn't see it, and you want in Canada and you want in England and that sort of thing, because then you go into child pornography. And what we
Yes.
fail to understand, some of us, is that this video might just end up on a child pornography site, because there's some sickos who get off on this sort of thing. And
Yeah.
even worse is that this child is going to grow up and this video is going to be out there to remind her of what her father did to her. Not that she needs reminders, because she's the one who's in that body and she's going to be living a life. But is going to pop up over and over in her future because of what we are doing now by sharing. I would really like to caution people and to just stop sharing that video.
Yeah.
If you have it
Yes.
on your phone, on or whatever, delete it. This
Yes.
disappears, but please delete it.
Don't add to the sending this viral. And in fact, the person that sent it off to me, I immediately told her, I said she could even be charged for sending this stuff. Delete it off your device. All right, because I don't understand. I don't understand why it's a fanatic. Why people get so fanatic about sharing this stuff there and putting it out there and sending it out in groups. It makes absolutely no sense.
It comes
to do
back.
that.
It comes back, Junior, to society, our morals and ethics, and that is where I was going earlier. It comes back to these three main things: our society. Well, four. What has been normalized? Our society, our ethics, and our morals.
Yes.
All of these things keep on being adjusted. Now, I just saw somebody made the point that I was going to make just now about a person, a child getting pregnant, and instead of blaming the perpetrator, you blame the child. No, we have gotten to a place in the Caribbean, I think, where we need to get out of, and get out of quick. Okay, let me retract that. We have not gotten to a place. We are placed there, meaning the way people usually like to say, oh, we need to get out of the slavery mentality, and it's true. Because some things were instilled in our forefathers and foreparents and forebears that have come down into our genetics, our outlook on life, and so forth and so on. And people don't understand how these things work, I think. Because these things go deeper than just what we see on the surface. Now, I said that to say, let me give you an example. Our parents, Junior, our grandparents, if one was young and got pregnant, the mother and the father will kick them out. They will, the entire community will chastise them. They will be beaten. They will be, they will be shamed. And thank God, coming forward, a lot of us have decided to put an end to that kind of nonsense. And so, you know what? It ends here. It ends with us. And we're going to start a new paradigm. We're going to shift this paradigm to something else. But I don't think that we have gone far enough where enough of us have gotten to that place. Because now, Junior, while I agree in protecting the child, I fully 100% agree. And I was trained in that also, because even in juvenile reform, you are taught where sometimes the name of these perpetrators cannot be called, because then it will lead back to who the victim is, and trying to protect the victim from being shamed and so forth. But there's a but here for me. Why is it that we are not calling on the society itself, the community itself, the country itself, the region, as a matter of fact, itself, to change our outlook on these things, to change our ethical viewpoint when it comes to these things, to say, you know what, let us not look at it as having to blame the child, but expose who that person is. And the caller before, from Grenada, she made a point where she said that, many of the persons will say, you know what, deal with the person, deal with the perpetrator, give them the longest extent of the law, but protect granny, protect mommy, protect the family. At the end of the day, when are we going to get to that point where we realize the family did not do this? There's deviance all over. And so, why is it that that we will hug up a murderer? Why is it that we will hug up a thief? Why is it that if somebody go out there and do the most outlandish thing, but when it comes to these, it's like, oh, we want to protect the family. No, the family did not do this. And I'm sure that most families are not instilling this kind of ethics and morals into them to say, you know what, go out there and rape, go out there and sexually abuse people. Most of us growing up, especially in the Caribbean, we were instilled with proper morals and ethics.
Yes.
But people's own thoughts, people's own thinking, what they gravitate to, pull them into these things. So why is it that we are still in this frame of mind to always blame the family?
Yeah.
I think that is the question we need answered.
Yeah. Let's jump to the phone line real quick. Caller, your live, where you calling us from?
Hi, good night.
Good night, caller. How are you?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey, go right ahead.
Yes, I have a question for the lady. Adrian is her name?
Adriana, yes.
Okay, when people was asking why you can't charge the guy for rape, she said that because that's because of what the law. My question is, why were they so quick to charge him without properly investigating? I want to know, did they take the child to the doctor to get an examination to see if there was any penetration or any sort of sexual performances before they were so quickly to just charge him with assault?
Right. Okay. All right, Adriana?
You know, because I find they charge him very quick without things being done.
Yeah.
And my other question is, what is the mother role in this, and has the police them charge her also?
Okay. Adriana, do you have any?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, caller, New Jersey. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you, caller. Okay, first of all, I cannot say that the child has been medically examined. What I did say earlier is that based on our laws, he cannot be charged for rape unless there was vaginal or anal penetration, and that would have to be proven by a medical examiner. I do not know if the police have closed their investigations. It could be that they just wanted to ensure that he's behind bars and the investigations would continue, because the thing is, he could still charge for rape if it is proven that he did penetrate this girl, whether vaginally or through the anus.
I guess the question really is why they had to rush it? Why couldn't they investigate that and charge him in the
That's what I'm
process?
saying,
Why?
we don't know that we don't know that they are not doing this, because this is something that he could still be charged. So I don't know. I mean, the way things happen, Vince, it could be very well be that this is it and they're just trying to shut up people. Good. But he could still, there could still be an investigation going on, and he could still receive further charges. That could still happen. What the law is saying now is that based on that act already defined as rape in other jurisdictions, in St. Vincent and Grenadines, fellatio is not defined as rape. It is not considered to be rape. Not be charged for rape on penetration is proven. And again, I cannot say whether or not the police are still investigating or if they're not. In relation to the mother, yes, she could have been charged if she knew that this was happening to her child. And again, if rape is proven and it is proven that she knew about it, she could be charged. She could be also charged under the Child Care and Protection Act, I do believe. But again, we don't know if investigations are ongoing or not.
Right, right. Um, it is very difficult to prove um, non-penetration because if it wasn't for the presence of this video that the police officers got, I'm sure that they have in their phone or they got to see, it was his word against her word. How do you prove that, right? Um, and in absent
Well, they would tell
of a
you,
video,
if they're in her age, you would
yeah,
have, vaginal tearing, and you would have scars, and especially if it's ongoing, you'd have scars and bruises and all these sort of things to show that she was penetrated with something, whether it's a penis or an object of some sort. So you would find scars and, bruising, tearing, that sort of thing in a child that young. And of course, again, like you said, it's her word against his, but with that sort of physical evidence, the case becomes stronger.
yes, absolutely. And here lies another problem where we have situation where the kids have to go in front the court, or they have to be interrogated by police or investigators, and they would say in the best of their young mind knowledge, yeah, he did this to me 5 times or 10 times or whatever. How do you actually prove that? Might be the other question, because we had a situation where a child said to the to the police that he did this to me 18 times. 18 times, and she counted 1, 2 on her little finger, and she went on and on and on until the mother said stop. She probably would have been counting up to 100 right now, right? Until the mother said stop. And then you know what happened? He was charged 1 count. One
Yeah.
count of indecent assault on that child. And had it not been for I think he admitted to it, and that's a totally different case, by the way. He would not have been charged at all. He would have been back and forth. The child said this, no, the child lie about this, and that is where it's difficult to actually bring this case forth. But with the evidence that we have right now, with the video evidence that is present right now, it's very easy to prosecute. But I'm thinking that if that was the case, well, we
Only
don't know
for
if they actually
assault, Junior. Only for
assault, only for
assault.
assault, only for assault, only for assault.
Yeah.
Where do you think, Adrian, Kenson, where do you think that this go from here? What's your gut feel? Do you think that this is it, or we might see additional charges in the next couple of days or weeks or so?
I think, Junior, initially it would have been it. But the fact that this is the government right now cannot handle another Cornelius John. Cannot.
Right.
And I said that to mean the type of outrage, the kind of outpouring of people finally standing up and letting their voice be heard in the country. That hasn't happened in eons in St. Vincent.
Right.
That shook the government. So in a matter like this, I don't think they can take another of that presently politically. So I think my gut feeling is that simply for political capital, somebody is going to whisper to somebody somewhere and something is going to be pushed further. That's my gut feeling. But I want to believe that this was supposed to be it. But too many people are speaking on this now. I saw one radio personality today who is usually, on his time on radio, just basically out there with, some outlandish stuff just for joke. But when I saw Blaze got angry today, when I saw Blaze of Hot 97 got angry today, and he said something that really resonated. He said, next election, if the government or the opposition do not speak on these things and tell us that they are going to make changes to these laws to protect our women and children, then we are not voting. Or we are voting out whoever, or let me find a new party or something to vote.
Right. Right.
And that is the level. And he said, you know what? This is not 9 days talk. We are going to be pushing this. And for these people to be saying that, because when me and Adriana were pushing for stuff here and being out there, standing up and protesting, some of these were the same people who will be there and make light of us. But to see that these are the same people now who are calling publicly for something else to be done, I think this is going to really catapult us to the place where laws will finally be amended or acts put in place. And this matter may just not be a 9 days talk, and we may see further prosecution on behalf of this guy.
Yes. And you said something there too, which is a problem. That 9 day talk thing, well, in Grenada is 2 day talk. Everybody quick to go to one and walk and stamp the story hot. But as soon as that 2 days done, next story, they forget all about that. That's how we society is, And at least St. Vincent is Grenada. I tell you, Grenada is a 2 day, 3 day talk. It hot and they vex until they blue. And in the next 2 days, boy, where's that person that they vex just the other day? They don't vex again. They forget all about it. But we cannot forget about it. And men, we as men, and I call us the good ones, men who see and get disgusted by these things on them, we have to stand up and really speak out on this. We can't be friends and buddy pals and shaking hands and chummy with people who are pedophiles like that. We can't be friends with them. We can't walk with them. We can't play basketball. We can't be friends with these people and them. They can't be our buddies. This is not locker room talk kind of thing. You can't be my friend if you're a pedophile and taking and abusing children. No. And we have to take a strong stance.
Can I say that the point that you made there, I think our entire Caribbean civilization needs to deal with this. It's our entire Caribbean civilization where this problem is. And it takes all of us to deal with this. And let me say, when this video came out, I only heard about it. After I saw this thing going around on Facebook and some persons, the social persons were talking about it, and I asked, why is it matter? And somebody said, well, this is the issue. And I said, I do not want to see this video. I have a 1-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old daughter. My brother, listen, as I said, this is your program and this is not the right. But let me say this. There is nowhere under God's blue heaven and on God's good green earth that Kenson King's daughters, any one of them, are going to be abused in any such way. And anybody come and tell me about law. That's all I'll say. That is all. Yeah. Because something needs to be done. And you said it just now. There's no way that we can how can I know that you're a pedophile and laugh and smile with you? Because I don't know if you're watching my daughter next.
Yeah.
How can I laugh with you?
So true.
I'll hold back from saying some of the things that I'm really here to say but trust me, Junior.
It's a serious situation. We're coming to that point right now. Let's go into wrap up and try to conclude and see what are some of the proactive measures that we could do and what we want people to look at and what people could do. What are some of the things, the learning curve of this whole thing, if there is any kind of learning curve? Adriana, do you have any as a wrap up?
Before I go into that, I'm going to just respond to something that you asked earlier. You asked about the affairs of women here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, the stance of women. How do we look? And my word that I want to use then is the word grim. Things are pretty grim for St. Vincent and Grenadines. Now, we have a thing here where we love to look good on paper. We sign on to conventions, we pass bills into acts, and we just always look good on paper. But we don't enforce things, and we don't try to better the existing laws. And we go as far as to pretend. Recently, one of our senators, who is, I think, junior minister in the Prime Minister's office, and two others were at the UN. And she made some very um, hmm, bold statements,
Outlandish.
downright lies, claiming that, we have 3 safe houses here for women and all that sort of madness. And Vincentians know that what she said to the UN were lies. Now, we have one safe house woman, and it is out of commission because it's being refurbished. We have no safe homes for children. In fact, if a child is abused, ordinary citizens are called upon to take in that child and to care that child. And if, notice if the government gives assistance, it's about $250 per month. That's it. Now, what could $250 do in terms of taking care of a child? So many people don't come forward to offer their assistance in this way, and so many children remain in homes with their abusers.
Yes.
But we go about into the United Nations that things are so because we have a female Speaker of the House and a deputy female of the House. Never mind, the deputy Speaker of the House was the one who was accused by Mr. Cornelius John of being part of a party that shot him in his leg. Never mind that, we have a female sitting there. And I hate this sort of window dressing thing that we have going on in St. Vincent. We need to deal with things, and we need to deal with them on the real. So going forward, Junior, we need to stop painting these beautiful photos for the UN, pretending that everything is good. We as Vincentians, we need to hold our parliamentarians accountable. Now, what Blaze said is something that I said in the last elections and elections before. I would only vote for people who stand up and speak up against violence against children, violence against women, and violence against others in our society. And I said it over and over again. And it's good that somebody in radio has echoed that sentiment. We all need to echo that as Vincentian and as Caribbean people, because going forward, if we don't have people in Parliament who would speak truthfully on the situation here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, if we don't stop electing people who we know abuse, rape, assault women and children, then we would not go forward as a nation. We keep electing these men into power, knowing fully well what they do. We know it. Some of us have been victims of their abuse. And still we go on social media and we applaud them. Oh, this is the best. That's the best minister of this. That's the best minister of that. But we were assaulted by these people. If we don't hold them accountable, then they would go to Parliament and continuously do nothing to better our condition here as women and as children. So we have to start by electing people who could serve.
I said it the last time that we need to hold our voters ransom. We cannot just say, "Here's my vote," because you follow a political organization. You have to say, "Yo, what are you doing for my top agenda item? Like, what is your plan to deal with child sexual abuse?" Ask these questions, right? Sometimes we major in minor stuff. We major in minor stuff. It's not because somebody give you a handshake or somebody buy you a beer that means that they're suited to be in Parliament.
Lumban cement, For Vincentians, it's Lumban cement. Lumban cement, that's all it takes.
Lumban cement, wow. Okay, let's close up.
Jonah,
let's close up on this one.
I just have one question for you. When was the last time you saw a proper debate between political rivals at a political rally or anything like that during the time of elections?
Nah, I am yearning to see that. But
that's my point. That is my point, brother. And until us as Caribbean people the entire Caribbean civilization, we can realize, as you said, that our vote actually counts. And that our vote, if we hold our vote ransom, then they are in trouble. And if they cannot tell us what they are going to do for us, as you said, with our top tier issues that we have, then you can't go there. But until people realize that voting is not just a party, it's not just, oh, we're going to mark an X because we love this person. Until we get to that place to understand what our Caribbean civilization is, what it stands for, what our vote is, what our vote stands for, what we deserve, we have to get to that place to realize what we deserve. And until we get to that place of understanding what we deserve, there will never be any change, my brother. There will never ever be any change. And that's what I have to say. For now, let us push so that us as Caribbean people, we can realize what we deserve and push for change.
Yeah. Listen, thank you guys. And the Lee, of course. Thank you so much, the Kings, Adriana and Kenson. You guys really I appreciate your information. And listen, let's not be the last one. Let's hook up a little more frequently.
Well, you can call anytime. You can call anytime, my brother.
I appreciate it. And thanks for the impromptu respond. I really appreciate it. It was quick notice and boom, you guys step up to the plate. And for all the callers, everyone who contributed, say thank you as well. Listen, guys, we need to continue this conversation, and we really need to continue this conversation, the conversation of protecting our vulnerable population, women and children in particular in our society. We really need to do whatever we can to protect them. And this is not a no conversation. This is not a conversation for now, and next 2 days we forget about it. Ride Along has been championed. We have been championing this cause, this conversation about speaking out, standing up. This is not an issue that we just do it because we just want to talk or we feel like talking. This has been our forefront burning issue from day one. Everyone have a story to tell, giving people the opportunity to share their story and letting people be held accountable for their nasty behavior. You know, as you guys know, I have a zero tolerance for this type of things, right? I quick to name and shame, and I understand sometimes they say, well, naming the perpetrator might identify the victim, and I understand that, but I go against the grind sometimes because I really believe the worst type of the worst type of them guys are in Fred prison, right? So what they fear is for people to know about the nasty behavior. They're afraid that, like the worst fear you could think about. They're scared of being shamed. And I've developed a no tolerance, no BS, no tolerance for this type of BS, I should say. So we have been putting all these pedophiles to alert the community and everyone else on the nasty behavior. And this is not going to really detour in 2022. We are still going to be naming and shaming pedophiles and perpetrators. Guys, if you know of someone, mothers, fathers, parents, oh God, sometimes fathers are, in this case, fathers are the ones that are doing it too. But for the fathers, for the family, for everyone involved, if you know of someone that is sexually molesting a child, please report it. Please report it. Right? Don't think that, well, if you bring up his name, it's going to shame the family. Listen, we cannot continue to damage our future generation like this. We cannot continue to just forget about whatever happened and we can't say nothing because look how the people go talk about the family bad. Listen, you're talking about a child that is potentially going to be the person who lead over us. We want to protect them. We want to seriously protect them. Seriously. We need to do all that we can to help that process. All right? Thank you so much, Adriana, again, and Kenson. Thank you so much, Nyla, and the folks there at Rise Hiruna. We appreciate you guys so much. We want to thank everyone, all the sponsors who put their money where their mouth is and ensure that Ride Along could air on a daily basis. And we also invite you, if you have a business and you want to advertise, please advertise and support us so we can continue to spread the word. Let's take a quick word from our sponsor. We'll come back with final wrap-up statement. We'll be back.
Do you feel sick? Are you unsure? Or need to travel, but can't afford the long, exhausting lines? Then you need to be tested for COVID-19. Here at All Pro Health Lab, you can schedule your appointment online. No wait, no lines, no hassle. And get your results back in 30 minutes or less. Call now to find out more. 516-828-1808. Our agents are always ready to help. Hear why everyone is talking about All Pro Lab. It's quick, efficient, and tests are guaranteed in 30 minutes or less with full certification. Check us out online at allprolab.com or call 516-828-1808. All Pro Health Lab. Call today.
Hello there. Let me introduce you to the Nutmeg Band. Playing in the background is the latest release, Take Me to a Party.
Take me to a party.
This music is now available on leading online stores. So please, pick up your copy today and tell all your friends about it. Get your copy now.
Take me to a party.
David Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-38.
Take your business to the next level. Market and advertise your product or service on Ridealonglive. It pays to advertise.
And again, guys, thank you so much for being a part of our programming today. We appreciate you. We have a full lineup of programming this week into next week. And I want you guys to continue to share, right? Share, support, click that notification bell, and also log in and become a supporter. There's a little button right at the bottom there. You click that button and you become a supporter. It's only $4.99 a month. You could be a supporter of this program, so you see the things that we do in our community by donating around the world. Also, you click that that notification right there. I think it's pinned to subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? So, folks, a lot of viewers on YouTube right now. How you guys doing? You could also subscribe to us over there. We publish a lot of content over on YouTube. Over 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we want you guys to check us out over there as well. Good night. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
ride along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Ridealonglive, I mean, yeah, it's the real deal.